Welcome to today's episode of Blood and Diplomacy, the podcast where we explore how historical conflicts over belief, power, and politics continue to shape the world today. Our goal is to dive into the key moments in history and connect them with present-day struggles, helping listeners understand the ongoing impact on these ideological battles.
First, we'll look at the Reformation and Counter-Reformation movements that challenged religious authority and reshaped the landscape of Europe.
Smith's part. We will connect these historical conflicts to the ongoing ideological and religious struggles in the Middle East, showing how power, authority, and belief continue to play a crucial role in shaping societies. Stay with us as we explore how history echoes in the modern world.
Now, let's dive into a conversation with Mr. Smith and his students, Isi and Isa, to explore these parallels. Smith part. This podcast aims to analyze the ideological conflicts of the Reformation and Counter-Reformation and compare their impact on religious authority with modern conflicts like the wider Middle East war. We'll explore how theological divisions have led to political and social transformations in both historical and contemporary contexts.
Smith's part. Easy. Let's start with the Reformation. How did figures like Martin Luther shape this period? Luther's actions, like posting the 1905 Thesis, challenged the Catholic Church authority. He emphasized the personal faith over church doctrines, leading to the rise of Protestantism and reshaping Europe's political and religious landscape.
Smith part. Great, Isi. Now, Isa, what about the importance of religion in human conflicts? Why does it play such a powerful role? Religion often influences identity and power. In the Reformation, it wasn't just about faith, it was about who controlled that faith. Today, in places like the Middle East, religion still serves as a focal point for authority and conflict, much like the Sunni-Shia divide.
Smith's part. Exactly. As we explore these parallels, we will see how both past and present conflicts over belief continue to shape societies around the world. The Middle East is a region steeped in Asian history but fraught with modern-day conflicts. Over the past century has become the epicenter of global tension, driven by conflicts, religious, political, and ideological struggles. This presentation will explore the wider Middle East war, focusing on the factors that continue to fuel these conflicts. At its heart lies a question of religious authority and ideological divisions, which, much like Europe during the Reformation, have resulted in violent wars that have reshaped the region.
To understand today's Middle East conflicts, we must first trace their origins. One of the primary sources of division is the split between Sunni and Shia Islam. This division dates back to the 7th century, when after the death of Prophet Muhammad, a disagreement arose about who should lead the Muslim community. Sunnis believed leadership should go to a qualified individual chosen by the community, while Shias believe it should remain within the Prophet's family, specifically in cousin, Ali. This religious divide has deepened over centuries, becoming a political as well as spiritual conflict.
Smith's part. The 20th century brought new pressures. After World War I, the collapse of Ottoman Empire led to European powers draw artificial borders across the Middle East. These borders ignore existing ethnic and religious divisions, creating future tensions. Iraq, for example, was formed by combining Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish regions into one nation, leading to immediate struggles for dominance. Meanwhile, Palestine became a center of tension between Arab Muslims and Jews, eventually leading to Israel-Palestinian conflict, which continued to this day. Several key events throughout the 20th century heightened these tensions. The creation of Israel in 1948 displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, creating long-standing hostilities between Israel and its Arab neighbors. The Iranian Revolution in 1979, which established the region's first Shia theocracy, also dramatically shifted the balance of power, triggering fears among Sunni-majority countries like Saudi Arabia.
Over the decades, various processes have been attempted to resolve the conflicts in the Middle East. International diplomacy has played a significant role, with peace treaties, ceasefire agreements, and negotiations trying to broker lasting peace. One of the most significant of these was the Camp David Accords in 1978, which resulted in a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel, making Egypt the first Arab country to officially recognize Israel. This agreement, however, was not without controversy, as it led to Egypt's isolation from the Arab states. Smith's part. Other attempts at peace, such as the Oslo Accords in the 90s, sought to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While the Oslo processes initially seemed promising, it ultimately failed due to a lack of trust and continued violence from both sides. The assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in 1995 by a Jewish extremist further derailed the peace processes.
The role of external powers is also critical. The United States, Russia, and regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Iran all influence the ongoing conflicts. For instance, the proxy war in Syria and Yemen are essentially battlegrounds for the broader regional struggle for influence between Sunni Saudi Arabia and Shia Iran.
Today, the Middle East remains in a state of flux. The civil war in Syria, now over a decade old, has devastated the country and left millions displaced. While ISIS, a Sunni extremist group, has been largely defeated, its ideology persists, and extremist groups continue to operate in many parts of the region. Meanwhile, Iran's influence in Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria continues to grow, creating a power struggle with Sunni-led Saudi Arabia.
Smith's part. In Yemen, a proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran has led to what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Millions face starvation, and both sides have been accused of committing war crimes. The war in Yemen serves as a stark reminder of how these conflicts are not just political, but have deep human cost. On a broader scale, recent developments such as the Abraham Accords, which normalize the relations between Israel and several Arab nations, have shifted some dynamics. However, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains unresolved, with violence periodically flaring up in Gaza and West Bank.
The wider Middle East war is complex, with roots in religious authority, political power, and ideological divisions. It mirrors the religious wars that plagued Europe during the Reformation, with sectarian difference leading to deep divisions and violence. While there have been diplomatic successes, true peace remains elusive. The region continues to face challenges from proxy wars, extremism, and humanitarian crises, all of which global ramifications. Smith parts. Thank you for watching this presentation. Understanding the history and complexity of the Middle East conflict is crucial to finding solutions. The international community must continue to seek diplomacy and humanitarian solutions to end the suffering and bring lasting peace to the region. Sure, Martin Luther argued that the Catholic Church shouldn't be the only one with the power to interpret religious teachings. He wanted people to read the Bible themselves and have a more personal relationship with God. Smith part. Exactly, Isa. Martin Luther questioned the church monopoly on religious interpretation, which means he didn't like the church should control everything about faith. This was radical because for centuries the church had been the only source of religious authority. Now, Isa, what happened after Luther's ideas spread across Europe? People start to create new branches of Christianity, for example, Lutheranism based on Luther's idea and Calvinism based on John Calvin's teachings. Both of these promoted a direct connection with God without needing the church as a middleman.
Smith's part. That's a great answer. So instead of having one central church, we see the beginning of multiple Christian denominations, each with its own belief. This diversity of belief created a shift away from the strict hierarchy where the church controlled all the religions mattered. Now, how did the Catholic Church react to all of this? They didn't take it lightly. The Catholic Church held the Council of Trent to reassert their doctrines and their power. This was the start of Counter-Reformation, where they worked to bring people back to Catholicism. Smith's part. Yes, exactly. At the Council of Trent, which lasted for years, the Church clarified its teachings and established stricter guidelines to ensure people knew what the Catholic faith stood for. This Counter-Reformation effort was meant to strengthen the Church, especially as it saw people converting to Protestant branches. Now, why do you think these religious changes led to conflicts? Even worse.
Because people's beliefs were so deeply connected to their identities and their country's politics, when people in one area started following Protestant ideas and others stayed Catholic, it created divisions. This tension often turned violent. Smith part. That's right, Isa. Religion wasn't about personal faith. It affected the politics and identity of entire regions. The Reformation led to wars like the 30 Years' War, which involved many European countries. It became one of the most destructive conflicts in Europe's history, where religion and political power went hand in hand. Do you think there was anything else influencing people to question the church during this time? Yes, I think humanism from the Renaissance. Humanism emphasized individual thinking and reason, so people began questioning established authority, including the church.
Smith's part. Absolutely. Renaissance humanists valued the critical thinking and the ability to make choices for oneself. This made people more open to Luther's ideas because it encouraged them to think about faith in new ways. Humanism didn't just affect religious belief but influenced the very way people thought about the truth and the authority. So, in a way, both the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation were shaped by his humanism spirit. Why do you think this emphasis on individual reasoning led to so much conflict? Because people's beliefs weren't just different, they felt they were defending the true faith. Religion was part of who they were and part of their community. So, when someone questioned it or left that faith, it was seen as a serious threat. Smith's part. Exactly. When people hold strong belief, any challenge can feel very personal. During the Reformation, people weren't just switching churches. They were challenging centuries-old belief, which felt like a threat to their community's values. And this shows how powerful religion can be in both uniting and dividing people.
Yes, it's interesting to see how something that's meant to bring peace and purpose could also lead to so much division. Smith part. It really is, Isa. Religion often aims to guide people towards a sense of purpose, but because it's so central to people's identity, it can also be a source of conflict. Luther's call for change in religious interpretation wasn't only about religious practices. It highlighted deep social, cultural, and political divides. Today, we can see similar patterns when people clash over deeply held beliefs, whether religious or otherwise. So, the Reformation wasn't just a religious shift, it changed everything: politics, culture, and even how people saw themselves.
Smith's part. Exactly. The Reformation and the Counter-Reformation shaped not just European Christianity, but also the development of modern Western thought. This movement showed that when people seek truth in different ways, it can lead to freedom and new ideas, but also conflicts and struggles for power. And Martin Luther's courage to question established authority opened up space for people to think for themselves. It's amazing how much impact one person's ideas can have on an entire continent. It is indeed easy. Luther's questioning laid the groundwork for more diverse religious world, and it reminds us that ideas, especially about something personal as faith, can truly change the world.
So, we've seen those conflicts over beliefs, whether in Europe during the Reformation or in the Middle East today, have lasting effects. The real lesson might be that this struggle shapes our world for better or worse. History often repeats itself, but maybe we can learn enough to avoid the same mistakes. Thanks for listening to Blood and Diplomacy. Hopefully, next time we'll have more stories of peace than of conflict.